I like this girl and I don't know what I'm gonna do.
My first queer crush.
When I was in about year 5 or year 6, and it, cliche, but it probably would have been my best friend.
So I'd be about 15 years old. We became best friends. Then I was like, I actually like you. I didn't tell her yet.
Particularly in high school, I hadn't really allowed myself to feel that way about women. So yeah, my first queer crush was actually my best friend.
So I went to an all-girls school and it definitely was not okay to be anything other than straight. You were kind of a pariah, I think, if you were. And there was this one girl, I was just like, who is this person and how do I get her to pay attention to me?
And so I just found myself, yeah, just acting a little bit differently around here, maybe just trying to sort of get a little bit closer and trying to be, you know, just be that really good best friend and just trying to be that one true friend.
I was just like looking at her one day and I just caught myself just like staring and I was like, this ain't normal.
We had started to get very close at the time, and I think it was one of those things of will we do this, will we not?
And I didn't really speak to her when I had the crush because then suddenly I just lost all ability to say words or think or do anything around her, to be honest.
I felt kind of almost a sense of, I'm not sure if euphoria is the word, but in a sense euphoric and happy.
A part of me, or all of me, knew that I could never ever tell her that I felt like this.
In second year of college, I decided to tell my best friend. I said to her, you know, back in year 10, yeah, I used to like you a lot. And she was like, really? You know, when I first met you, I liked you too. And I was like, all this time, I could have made a move, but it's okay. It's okay, it's okay.
Well, we went to different schools and I never spoke to him again, so.
Is this going to be this thing? And, you know, ultimately it wasn't. You kind of have to decide, is this going to be a dating thing or is it going to be friendship? Oftentimes I think those lines are really blurred for queer women particularly, but just queer people in general.
I still remember her scent now. It's Coco Chanel. And whenever someone walks past me now, I'll be like, I recognize that smell. And I realize, oh, it was the girl that I liked. That was her scent. It was comforting.
So nothing ever happened between you two then?
Yeah, nothing.
You're still friends now?
We're still friends now.
Ultimately, it was really fun having a crush on you. It's gonna be really fun being your friend. I think we're not really suited for each other romantically, but I think we could be mutually obsessed with each other in a different way forever. If someone makes a meme of I want Rachel Weisz to spit in my mouth, you know that people are gonna respond to that.
My first celebrity crush?
Ooh. Really embarrassing.
Oh Lord.
Justine Littlewood from Tracy Beaker.
Miss Honey from Matilda.
Randy Orton.
Princess Jasmine.
Oh my God, Demi Lovato.
It was actually when Charlie and the Chocolate Factory came out in 2005 with little Freddie Highmore.
I don't know, how do I explain it? Those glasses, sexy glasses, they've come back around as well. So she looks very stylish in them now.
I think I must have been about, oh my God, I must have been about 10. And I think in the film he was probably playing 10 or 11 years old as well. Sounds really weird to say as a grown man now. That was the turning point for me, 100%. I can still remember being in the cinema and watching it with my parents sat next to me.
I think it was really exciting to be able to see a princess that wasn't white and that I could kind of identify with. I just thought she was so beautiful. She had a pet tiger. She was really independent and, you know, wouldn't take any shit. I really admired that and also had a big crush on her.
I think it's because I love Tracy Beaker, but because she was the enemy, the bad girl. I think that's what I loved about her.
Oh my God, actually thinking about it, I actually remember I was fangirling so hard over him that I actually wrote him a massive letter by hand when I was that age, explaining these feelings that I was having, etc. And at the end I was basically just asking for an autograph, but I explained all these feelings to him. Never got a response, but I did get a signed photo.
Current celebrity crushes?
Oh my gosh, Nikita Dragon.
Anthony Joshua.
Wow.
That's all I have to say. Anthony Joshua.
Nikita,
Tom Holland. It's just,
No elaboration needed, just the name.
I can't even explain.
oh my God, like, oh.
Just beautiful, like.
That Spider-Man suit, oh my God.
Rihanna. Rihanna's like a big one. I don't know how she exists. Like part of me is like.
I have a crush on Tessa Thompson. I love a woman in the suit. Any woman in the suit, yes, 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 thank you.
Basically, like every still from Men in Black, I just get a little like flutter. Okay, I'm ready. Like, bring it on.
I have like a highlight reel on my Instagram about like people I want to top me.
But now, my celebrity crush, Kalani, definitely Kalani. Her music was the biggest thing for me. She has a lot of tattoos and she's just very like confident in who she is.
People always like confident people, especially because like being queer, like discovering that you're queer can take so much out of you, and then but seeing someone that's so like comfortable in who they are and exudes so much like big strap energy is just like obviously so attractive. Like confidence is always good.
It's not something like you can just like throw out there like, hey, I'm gay, surprise. No, it's definitely not like that.
I don't even know where to begin.
Even if you put the two identities of being queer and being a person of colour separately, both of those things are a minority in this country. So you have your struggle of dealing with racism if you're a person of colour, and you have your experiences of dealing with people being homophobic if you're queer. So naturally, when you think about it, it's just putting those two things together doubles up your problems.
So when I was around 6 or 7, I remember I used to wish the stars every single night that I'd wake up as a boy.
My initial sparks were around about 14, 15 when I started to realise that, oh yeah, I don't want to hang out with this guy because I think he's cool and he's funny. I want to hang out with him because I have a crush on him or something like that.
I also really grew up, was an adolescent in the moment where girl crush was huge. So I hid behind that for several years, in high school, just being like, oh yeah, it's a girl crush, it's fine. Like.
And then it got to year 7, we were literally outside the girls' changing room, and my friend came up to ask me a question. She was like, Jess, can I ask you a question? And literally before she even asked the question, I was in my head saying, please don't ask if I'm a lesbian.
I did everything in my power to tell people without telling them, because that makes sense. I would kind of drop hints, but if anybody asked me if I was gay, I'd say no. Why? I couldn't tell you, because I was. And I knew I was.
And then she asked it, and I was like, no, what are you talking about? Like, are you joking? Me? Bye. And then now I'm looking back at it, I'm like, Jess, like, if you instantly thought that before she even said anything, it just randomly came into my head. And it's like, wow, like, you've known for quite a while, yeah.
Definitely remember taking Am I Gay quizzes as a teen, which now I know is obvious that I was questioning my sexuality, but at the time I felt like the internet could really tell me if I was or not.
Coming out is often characterized as an event, you come out and then you're out. But it's so much more often a series of events. It's a process. It's something that you almost never stop doing for most of us, because in every situation you have to weigh up, like, is it safe for me to be out here? Am I comfortable being out here?
I really shut myself off. I was being very temperamental. I was locking myself in my room. Unbeknownst to my mum, I wasn't really eating that much. I wasn't eating at school. I was like throwing my lunch. I would take my lunch in, I'd just throw it away when I got into school. I wasn't really eating much dinner either, which I think was maybe my mum started to piece together that he seems kind of overly emotional. He's not really eating dinner or anything like that. I was getting very moody at the drop of a hat. And I think it's, your parents probably know you better than anybody else. So my mum very quickly picked up that something was wrong. I'm not confrontational, I'm not like a screamer or a shouter or a crier. That night I did all three. I refused to have anyone in my room, and then eventually I got my friend to tell her.
They're like, oh, just go tell your parents, you know, or like, just go do this and this and this, and you're like, but I can't, you literally can't, because like, you know your parents like the best, and like, you know how like they will react to situations, and
you have to like decide, am I out to my friends, am I out to my coworkers, am I out to my parents, am I out to, you know, there's so many different layers, and I think particularly being a queer person of color, you can be like out to all of your friends, and then like, how do I feel about being out to my family, and like particularly like your extended family? Like I would say, you know, I'm out to my like nuclear family, but I'm like not gonna talk to my grandmother about my Korean grandmother about being queer. Like that's just not the relationship we have.
If you have like your parents supporting you, they might take that away, and then what do? You have no support, and like your friends who are also struggling can't necessarily support you. And choosing your happiness and choosing your freedom over being comfortable and being safe is a decision that a lot of people make, but it shouldn't be taken lightly because you put yourself in so much danger.
people say like, oh, I am gay, but I'm not hurting anyone. Like, yeah, that is so true, but you're potentially hurting yourself. Like, you gotta come out when it's definitely safe, because sometimes you can literally be in danger. I know people definitely have abusive parents and like abusive communities.
I mean, it's still not easy to necessarily find queer experiences depicted at all, let alone experiences of queer people of color, and not basically anyone who's like cis and white. Like those are the most common depictions of queerness.
When I was younger, there were no queer people of color that I could look up to, like in the media or in my personal life, no.
Margaret Cho came out like when I was already sort of out. And so I guess that would be like one sort of prominent Asian American person that I knew, and particularly an Asian American woman who was out as bisexual. And so I remember thinking like, okay, so I'm not alone in this, I'm not the only one, but it didn't really feel like, oh, like I have this person now and so I'm represented.
And my mum was, I think she was very much like, is that it? Like, was this the problem? Nothing really changed after that. Everything, I still have the same relationship with my mum now as I did back then, 10 years ago. So to younger queer people of colour now, I would say that regardless of what anybody says to you, remember that your identity is valid. I'm maybe going to stop there because I'm not quite sure what else I would add on top of that.